Neve Gallus, detective, mage, freedom fighter. She's a compelling character, one admired by players both in and outside the world of Thedas. She enters the game with a flourish, taking out Venatori with ease that would make even Bianca weep. She is introduced as a detective, one Varric admires as being the best at her job. From the square hat to the pointy boot, Neve is a woman built with intention woven into every thread. So, why does one detail about her feel strangely out of place? I'm talking, of course, about her prosthetic leg, a detail given so little attention that many players miss it entirely on their first playthrough. I know I did. We're never told how she lost the limb, nor are we shown how the prosthetic affects her daily life. Neve herself barely acknowledges it, and over time, it fades into the background. While an amputation is no reason to question someone's strength or capability, Neve's prosthetic raises an uncomfortable question about the world of Dragon Age itself. In a setting filled with healing magic, ancient gods, and impossible power, why does disability still exist? It certainly isn't something to be easily cured, but instead is often something quietly ignored. Fantasy settings take a lot of different approaches to disability. Sometimes it's used as a shorthand for evil. Sometimes it's used to frame a character as an unexpected underdog hero. Sometimes it becomes part of a redemption arc or a marker of suffering and resilience. So, what is Neve's purpose here? What narrative does her prosthetic serve? We're given neither backstory nor acknowledgement. But I still want to unpack it and see if we can come to a conclusion. Scholarship on disability in fantasy notes that bodies are often used symbolically, as shorthand for corruption, morality, or narrative fate. In older media especially, villains are frequently marked by physical difference. Eye patches, amputations, scars, or exaggerated bodily traits are meant to signal otherness at a glance. In more recent media, we see characters such as Nessa Rose in Wicked, who becomes a narrative device for how otherness can turn into wickedness. There are multiple critiques of these tropes, but I find Colleen Donnelly's argument in revisioning negative archetypes of disability and deformity in fantasy, Wicked, Maleficent, and Game of Thrones particularly useful. In this, Colleen argues that cultural understandings of evil are shaped in part by repeated visual associations between disability and villainy in media, leading to a form of othering that links physical difference with moral difference. Dragon Age itself falls into this trap at times through its depictions of villains such as the Red Lyrium infected Templars. Now, let me be clear. I am not saying media should never show the corruption of power or how people cursed can have revenge narratives. I am, however, arguing for the impact an equal amount of positive representation can have on the ability of society to accept rather than stigmatize disability. This is why Neve stands out to me. Even with the knowledge and previous use of these tropes, the Dragon Age team never explained her prosthetic. Nor does Dragon Age rely on the trope of magic fixes everything. While characters like Neve Gallus or the Inquisitor may have prosthetics that appear largely unproblematic in daily life, we have seen different narratives surrounding disability in the same world. The Iron Bull in particular stands out to me. Bull is never given a magical eye to replace his damaged one, even as he lives in the same keep as a highly talented enchanter and inventor. Therefore, one can see the setting does not apply a consistent approach to disability across all characters. And Bull isn't the only exception to this rule, because elsewhere we see even another pattern entirely. From the beginning, the developers have given us characters who struggle with disabilities. Characters such as Shale and Fenris both come to mind here. Shale is a golem. She could not move easily and was unwillingly put into a body that she did not want. Similarly, Fenris was altered against his will and given tattoos that forever mark him as different. This is an experience that is very familiar to those who live with disability. One often feels as though they have been trapped in a prison rather than in a functioning, in-control body. Fantasy often gives shape to experiences that are difficult to articulate directly, and bodily transformation is one way to do so. Within that context, Iron Bull stands out as one of the clearest examples of disability being acknowledged without being erased within Thedas. Iron Bull is blind in one eye, and it is neither ignored nor fixed. It is acknowledged through backstory and banter. He even talks about how he compensates for his limitations in combat. This is where Neve becomes interesting. Not because her prosthetic is ignored, but because of how completely unexamined it is in comparison. So where does that leave us? Perhaps there is no single answer. Perhaps we'll never know. Perhaps Neve's foot points instead to a deeper truth. Disability does not define. Sometimes a character truly can exist without being a slave to narrative tropes. But on the other hand, it also raises a tension the series cannot fully escape, between acknowledging disability as part of a character's reality and allowing it to exist without narrative consequence at all. Neve Gallus is a strong character, a detective, a mage, a freedom fighter. Her prosthetic does not define her, nor should it, but the silence around it still says something, not necessarily about her, but about the world she exists in, and how Dragon Age never quite pinned down how it felt about it. And maybe that's the most interesting part of all of this. Not what Neve's prosthetic means, but that we are never asked to think about it in the first place. This has been Drawn to Understand, and I'll see you in the next one.